Hi, my friends. Welcome to Inside the Minds of Authors. I'm DC Gomez, your host, and also an indie author. I'm thrilled you're joining me today for another fun interview with a passionate author. We're going to kick off this show with an exciting reading, so let's get started.
Hello, my name is Marc O'Brien. I am the author of The Final Fence, Sophomores in the Saddle. This work is dedicated to the pony, an educator who does not judge a book by its cover, instead fills its pages with lessons that a child can interpret and understand. This is not a book about horses. This is not an inspirational tale of commitment. Instead, it is our story about what we dedicate our honest and supportive love to. The final fence, sophomores in the saddle. In the beginning, there is always a conflict that comes down to the last obstacle. Peter King still laid out the artistic journalistic statement in the same manner as he did when the College Information Center was the editor's scholarship job that paid his way through the International University. Funny how working for a national weekly newspaper, he still kept his creative juices alive in pounding out country club tidbits, then distributing incredible forming items to the masses when the advertisers thought the unique style of concise scripture that was written in a fashion that was comfortable to the reader. Advisors were funny, the 30-year-old thought, picking up the latest department store pitch featuring a lady in a bikini like looks get things noticed. Then it came to off the wire in a short paragraph press release from an unknown media outlet, but the New York Dateline captured his eye before he attached his scotch tape to the back. Century old horse show gets nixed at corporate owned arena. Jesus, Peter thought out loud of himself while admiring the beauty of athletic image. This is what the Northerners used to love to do when they lived down here. Peter could remember being a student reporter, watchdog trucking the camera and notebook out to the Sunshine State Fairgrounds to do photo ops of Eddie Patrick and Daniel Lynn's social sporting exhibition. From a picture-taking standpoint, the sporting day-long competition seemed to be very tranquil, unlike the other Division II spectacles that attracted a handful of Southern Dominican Catholic students to the recreational as well as therapeutic outlets that were an escape from the books. In fact, the equine events were easy to cover, while the story seemed to challenge his senses, creating something that was sensational, not hurtful to anybody. Seeing the tragic story reminding him about all the good times they had in a social atmosphere inside and outside the classroom as they were following their youthful dreams, which in the end finished with them understanding the definition of the word goals. Southern Dominican Catholic University had a philosophy about education. Instead of attacking it straight on, they would sneak up behind the young adults by letting them figure it out themselves through proper decision making and in some case prayer. In other words, here is the material the sisters who dressed in casual clothes would say. Here is the information. Now learn. Peter chuckled while inserting the horse story next to the bikini model advertisement, looking down at the artistic and journalistic statement that debated public relations through marketing. The local reporter stood there in remembrance of those days when innocence was married to honesty. Knowing that he was finished for the week, Peter put the newsworthy item that was in a layout form in a circular canister, labeled the package, followed by a stamp, and then dropped it in a bin to go to the main office somewhere in another state. On his desk, the red lights read 1:45 in the morning, and the only thing open at this hour was Denny's, and Peter was not ready to deal with the Bambies. Not tonight, anyway. Instead, it was off to bed with 2 days off, or sort of. He could hear himself speak, shutting the lights and door. Yes, Eddie Patrick, the cripple from the Garden State, and first two names. Boy, did he bring peace to his county, or really two counties. And that begins the final fence, Sophomores in the Saddle, which is a unique look at the dedication, commitment, attitude of the 1980s from someone who grew up during a time with a physical disability. How important higher education is, both on the athletic fields and also in the classroom.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Minds of Authors. Today, we have the talented Mr. Mark joining us today. Hi, Mr. Mark, how are you today?
Marc O'Brien, how you doing?
I am so glad you're here. So excited to have you.
Hey, Greg. And I would like to come here and discuss my book, The Final Fence, Sophomores in the Saddle, which is my baby.
Why did you decided to set this book in 1980s?
Well, it's a fictional story. I write fiction, I write interpretive fiction, but it's based on my own life. Based on my own life of dealing with a disability and going to school. And I think using a fictional format, you don't hurt other people. We have so many books out there which are tell-alls, and you have memoirs, and all the celebrities have their little books being written and all that stuff. But I changed my route. I use fiction because I can bring up topics that people can interpret. And when you interpret things, you look at it in a different way, and you are able to feel like you can learn things that you may be able to think about things. When you read a book, you're doing it in a relaxed setting, so you're able to think about things in different ways, and that is the best place to figure out rights and wrongs. And I said, there's a lot to a disability. There's a unlike addiction or whatever, a disability is very individualized. And if I put the information in a setting where you can look at it in different ways, then the person can figure out how it would apply to them. So I took this character, Eddie Patrick, and I created this. I gave him two canes, and I gave him two wristbands. The wristbands come from a situation that he did. He was in control of that situation. The two canes, on the other hand, is a situation that was beyond his control. So that's in essence what my life of a disability has been all about. Is either that's been like the interesting phenomenon.
What target audience are you looking to reach with your book?
Well, I like to think of it as general audiences. One of my markets I should have is the equestrian. I would like to think that they would sit back and have their glass of wine and remember what it's all about. I think I do put on display my world of hunter jumpers in the proper fashion. Another market is the healthcare worker. I want them to learn from this. I want them to understand that those self-destructive issues are there with the disabled person or with the pediatric patient. And I want them to watch out for those. I want them to find out. And some of this is properly giving the reality confidence to a child when they are in when they are facing these serious life altering issues of having a disability. I think that if you get the disabled person off away from the self-destructive side of it, they can become a very powerful and knowledgeable person in society, and they will contribute because they have answers. But if they self-destruct, you lose that person. Some other marketing audience readers would be also the young adult.
When you were putting this book together, is this your first novel?
I have other books. I started with a children's book called Peter the Pediatric Canvas Playground. It's for nurses to be able to, once again, open up communication with a pediatric patient, calm them down, build that trust so they can talk to the nurse so the nurse can find out what is wrong. Then I have also Peter the Pediatric Canvas and the Peanut Chip Pancakes, which is also healthy. I talk about healthy eating and also different things. And then I go on to another self-published book from Blue Note Publishing here in Florida called A Special Person to Ride. Talk about friends in about therapeutic horseback riding. It's a very accurate portrayal, accurate display of what I went through as a young teenager.
Going back to your book that we're discussing today, how long did it take you to write it?
I write off of visions, and I started to conjure visions of about this story when I was in college. You say, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to write a book about this. Then I went in after college. I used to do some freelance or independent reporting on Grand Prix show jumping, and I pulled that type of experience. And I would scribble in notebooks my first pages and whatever, but I did not actually, because of maturity and reality, I did not actually start to sit down to write it until I was in Las Vegas, which I spent 17 years in Las Vegas compiling all these author orders. I was in Las Vegas. I actually sat down and wrote the book on. And it took about a good 3 years. I put it away for two, and then started pitching it to Austin Macaulay. And so, it was a process. It's my big thing. I hope to have a good portfolio at one house. Hopefully, it'll be Austin Macaulay of all my works, so people can study it and learn. Maybe take it, interpret and put it to someone else's life so they can learn from it. So I would say it was about 3 to 5 years of actually sitting down, writing it, editing it, putting it away, taking it back out. It's all done. All three parts are done.
You've been going through this journey for a while, you've been writing for a while. What advice would you give an up and coming author?
I would say learn journalism. Have that in your portfolio because it does make a better writer. Learn how to write. We have Microsoft Word out there. We have the computer, which you can easily get to information for research, and you can easily have your stuff edited with. I think the up and coming writers should be able to sit back, relax, and I want to go back to my term of conjure up visions. Let your imagination go. Don't hold back. You can always throw the piece of paper away. Get your emotions out on paper. If you get your emotions out on paper, then there is no problem with that. It's when you actually act upon, which is going to be the problem. But the thing is, the up and coming writer should, have some structured ideas.
Awesome. That's a great advice. Thank you. So, where can our listeners find your book where they can get more information about you?
You can go to it, austinmacaulay.com, and my book is there. I have an author page. Just go to the author section. I have an author page. It's available on Amazon, and it's on. I think on the internet. It's on available with Barnes and Noble. You can Google my name, Marc O'Brien, Obrien, and you may be able to pick it up through a good Google search. But that's a way of finding it. And but it's an austinmacaulay.com is a wonderful way of doing it, and they do take unsolicited manuscripts. And so if you're an upcoming writer, that's a good. I think that's. I also want to make the point where upcoming writers with the internet, there are a lot of websites out there which are starting up, and I think the word rejection is going to be something of the past. I think I have one outlet that I work with called poetrysoup.com, which has a membership fee. and I took out a lifetime membership. And it's a wonderful way to post poetry, and you have a good display, and you have a good place for short fiction too. Those are wonderful outlets if you want to, and compiled with Microsoft Word, having the grammar checks and everything. Um, it's a good way to giving enthusiasm to the art of writing, and I think that's a good way of starting for young writers. And also, it's a good way to see. So, also, you can also find my work on poetrysoup.com. I have a bunch of poems and short fiction over there. I think all you do is go to that website and type in my name. And my other Create Space works can be found on Amazon. And also, Blue Note Publishing still have the rights to Peter the Pietric Canvas, my Peter the Pietric Canvas series, and also a special person to rhyme. So, and they also can be found on Amazon. Just Google that word. Those two.
Awesome. Well, we're going to switch gears right now because we're coming to the part of the show what I call the lightning round.
Yes.
These are easy, fun, don't think too hard about them. So we're going to go quickly through them. Are you ready?
Go right ahead.
Let's do this. Pepsi or Coke?
Coke,
Nice.
Coca-Cola,
Breakfast or dinner?
dinner.
Okay. Nice, nice. Skiing or swimming?
That's it. I guess it was swimming.
Okay, you have to think about it. Not bad. Ebooks or print?
Paperbacks.
Nice. So here's the one. One word that best describes you.
Honest.
Nice. Artist is awesome. Well, Mr. Mark, it has been a pleasure having you on the show.
Oh,
Do you have any closing remarks for us?
just as I said, pick up my book. I hope I give you something to think about, and also, and most importantly, when you face adversity, just take 2 steps back, think about it, relax, and you'll get through it. And before you throw a stereotypical attitude towards a disabled person, remember they could be a major factor in a situation because they do have the observation skills and they do have the wisdom that could catapult a that can win an award. So, and that's just something to think about. And once again, DC, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
It has been a pleasure. I'm so glad you joined us. And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us in another episode of Inside the Minds of Authors. Go ahead, give this episode a like, share it, invite other people. We always grow better together. And we'll see you next week again with another exciting authors. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.